After all, what would you do if your husband started to mix business with pleasure, especially if business was a horrible corpse and pleasure was an exquisite woman?
The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as Jean and Pete Abbott, the nationally popular characters of detective fiction created by Francis Crane. Pat and Jean invite you to join them each week at this time on NBC for another recorded adventure in romance and crime. Tonight's puzzle and murder, the Royal Purple Scooter. And here is Jean Abbott.
I just called for Pat at his office. It was dinner time. My husband was ready to forget being a private detective and make a beeline for the nearest lobster a la Newburgh.
Come on, Jean. We'll go down to the skipper's, relax, and I'll order myself
Oh, is that a customer? So late.
I'm not expecting one. Come in. Yeah?
Mr. Abbott?
Yes?
My name is King. I'm from California Fidelity. Have you got a minute?
Yes, Mr. King. Surely. Sit down. This is my wife.
How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. King?
What's on your mind, Mr. King?
Well, Mr. Abbott, my company sells accident insurance, and we think that we have a job for you.
What's the problem?
Do you mind if I deliver a short lecture on the insurance business?
Not at all. Go ahead.
The American public is really remarkable, Abbott. Now, our company spends $1 million a year telling people to use a little common sense. But they commit suicide anyway. They spend $1,000 for a painting, but they won't spend 50 cents to fix a rug on the stairway. Then their best friend steps on it, falls, and knocks his brains out. They'll take 6 hours to hang that same painting on the wall, but they won't take 60 seconds to move a bottle of iodine out of reach of the baby. Now, I hope I'm not shocking you, Mrs. Abbott.
Oh, no, please go ahead, Mr. King.
Now, we've done everything under the sun to try to educate the public, but they go right on sticking their fingers in the light sockets, standing under trees during storms, and stepping on the soap in the bathtub. You know, when I get the casualty tables, I often think that maybe Freud was right about the death wish. Maybe we like dying. You'd think anyone but a congenital imbecile wouldn't light a match to look inside a gas tank. But a man in Sacramento tried it just yesterday. I just saw him at the morgue. Now we've got a new problem, and that's why I'm here.
Well, what's the problem?
Too many dangerous old cars on the road.
Oh, I see.
The American public loves this method of doing away with itself. Everybody and his brother has grabbed hold of anything on wheels that will move, and they're out on the road doing 90 in cars that belong in the junkyard. Cars with steering rods that snap, worn shoes that blow, brake linings that won't hold.
That's costing your company quite a few dollars, I imagine, huh?
It's costing California Fidelity thousands of dollars every day, Mr. Abbott. Oh, we're geared to certain emergencies, but we can't see daylight on this one. So, our only hope is to make a test case. There was a chap killed in an auto crash on Locust Avenue last night. Here's the card on him. His name is MacDonald. Rick MacDonald.
Oh, yes. I think I read about that in the paper.
Yes. MacDonald was coming down a hill near Locust Avenue. It's a bad one. Terrific grade, soft shoulders. 8 fatalities in the last 6 months. The city council has been too busy to fix it. They could have banked the curve, but they preferred to spend the money painting gold letters on City Hall. MacDonald went right off the road and over a rocky cliff.
He was alone in the car, wasn't he?
Yes. He wasn't speeding, though. The meter was smashed at 32 miles an hour.
Did you find anything that showed why he spilled over?
No. We had a top-flight mechanic take the wreck apart. Couldn't tell a thing. Car was too banged up.
What do you know about the man who died?
MacDonald? Well, he was 42, owned a chain of drugstores, married. He seems to have kept out of trouble. He was what we'd call a good risk. Now, he'd bought the car just a few days ago. Now then, if we could show that the car was a death trap when he plunked down his $1,750 for it, if we could show criminal negligence by the dealer who sold it...
Then you'd have a case.
Exactly. Maybe then we could set off some legal fireworks and get out of paying these dozens of fat claims like MacDonald's. His alone is $100,000.
$100,000?
Yes.
Who sold him the car?
A chap named Tenike. Harry Tenike. He has a fancy lot over on 7th Street. Mr. Abbott, if you'd investigate for us, California Fidelity would be glad to pay any reasonable fee.
All right, Mr. King. Now, what do you know about the dealer, Tenike?
Not much. He's been selling used cars for a long time. Grabs jalopies cheap on the East Coast, then palms them off in Dallas or here in San Francisco. He's about, 36. Single. No prison record, no legal trouble at all.
Uh-huh. Okay, Mr. King, I'll take it from here.
It would be worth quite a lot to us, Mr. Abbott, if you could prove the accident wasn't necessary.
Well, it shouldn't be too hard to prove that some of the cars they're selling these days aren't exactly dreamboats.
Some. And probably most of them.
Insurance companies have such fine, trusting natures.
Well, we're not dealing with the Vassar Daisy chain, Mrs. Abbott. The insurance company very often involves what Mark Twain called downright human cussedness. It's not a business for people with queasy stomachs or elaborate moral standards.
Have you anything else to tell me, Mr. King?
No, I think that's about it.
I guess you forgot one little item. I read it in the paper this morning.
Oh, really? What was that?
When they found that wrecked car and McDonald's body, they found a scooter on the back seat, a purple scooter.
Yes, that's right. I'd forgotten about that.
Well, the newspaper said that the McDonald's didn't have any children, so why was there a scooter in the dead man's automobile?
Oh, I see, Pat. You mean McDonald was murdered. After Mr. King left, Pat and I headed for Harry Tenike's used car lot. It was a gaudy place with huge signs, glaring spotlights, and a public address system.
Yes, sir, folks. Harry Tenike is crazy. Crazy. He's giving his money away. He wants you to drive right up here and sell your car, and Uncle Harry doesn't care what he pays for it, not Uncle Harry.
Sounds like the old Army game, doesn't it, Pat?
I think the odds in the Army game are better.
Oh, that must be Mr. Tenike over there. The salesman said he's a big, fat fellow with red hair.
All right, now remember, Gene, I'm not a detective. I'm a customer.
Uh-huh.
We want to buy one of these terrific bargains from Tenike.
Okay.
Mr. Tenike.
Yes.
I'm interested in that 51 there, the gray coupe. What do you want for it?
Why, that's practically a brand new car, my boy. Bought that just this morning from a lieutenant in the Navy. You know how those chaps are. They take wonderful care of their cars.
How much is it?
Well, it's only got 16,000 miles on it. The tires are perfect. It's got a radio and a heater. The
I
finish
said,
on it's like the...
how much is it?
Well, I'm not rightly sure. You see, I've already offered it to a dealer, so I may not be able to sell it at all. I don't remember what price he bid me for it. What do you think it's worth, my boy?
You try to remember the price, huh?
I think it was $1,600. Is that about what you expect to pay for a car?
Not for a car that's been in an accident, no, the way that one has.
Now, where'd you get that idea, my boy?
The fenders have been rewelded. The hood's been worked on. That car isn't worth $1,600 tonight.
Well, maybe it does need a little fixing, but I'll have my mechanic go over it for you.
Is that the kind of a phony deal you made with Rick McDonald? Did you sell him one of these hot cars, one of these suicide buses?
Well, where'd you get that idea?
A little birdie told me.
Very funny.
Did you know McDonald at all? Or was he just another sucker?
Now, look, Bud, when I want quiz programs, I turn on the radio. Who are you, anyway?
My name is Abbott. Pat Abbott.
And I'm Mrs. Abbott.
Who sent you here? You what they call a private investigator?
Oh, they call me a lot of other things, too.
Well, look here, Abbott. I did know Rick McDonald. Matter of fact, he happened to be a very good friend of mine. And I wouldn't chisel Rick out of a dime. The car I sold him was perfect.
Yes, but there isn't any way of proving that now, is there?
Rick knew cars, Abbott. He'd driven cars for 20 years. I couldn't have gypped him even if I wanted to. And besides, we were practically buddies.
So he'd trust you, eh, Tenike? He'd take your word, blind, that the car was okay.
Get out of here. I'd have knocked your lousy head off for hinting that I double-crossed Rick. I had nothing to do with the way he got killed. He was on a crummy hill. 8 other guys went off the same road this year. That ain't my fault. And no Penny Annie Sherlock Holmes.
You say you knew McDonald very well?
Sure I did. I've known the McDonalds for years.
You must have known Mrs. McDonald, too.
Dottie? Sure. So what?
So nothing.
Now, look here. Dottie's a good girl. You've been hearing that stuff about how she runs around? Now, they say that just because she's so pretty. That's all. Now, go on. Beat it, Abbott. You get out of here and forget my address. Ah, dear, you're coming around here with dirty cracks about Rick and Dottie. What are you trying to do? Show the boys you're smart? Show them that they hired a genius? What some people won't do to make a buck.
All right, easy, Tenike, easy.
You get out of here. You get out and make it fast before I take this wrench.
All right, I'm going, Tenike. Nice to meet you. Yeah, you're just the way they describe you in the ads. Jolly Harry Tenike, everybody's friend.
As soon as we left the used car lot, Pat suddenly reversed his usual policy. Instead of ordering me to go home and stop bothering him while he was on a case, he actually sent me out snooping. He actually asked me to help him. He told me to look up Tim, our old friend who was an expert mechanic. He told me to check on people who'd bought cars from Tenike. I went dancing away, very happy that Pat had realized at last that I was a very valuable assistant.
This is Pat Abbott. Ordinarily, I don't barge in on Jean's storytelling, but, just between you and me, I got rid of Jean purposely. I'd given her a lot of useless things to do so that I could go to see Mrs. McDonald alone. Oh, all in the line of duty, of course. But from what I'd heard about Dottie, I knew I'd be better off if there weren't any other women around, and she thought I was single. See, I wanted Mrs. McDonald to play every card she had without inhibitions. Mrs. McDonald's one of the most colossal little numbers I'd seen outside the pages of Esquire. Sitting in her apartment, I thought that what Tenike called being a penny ante Sherlock Holmes sometimes had its rewards.
Another Manhattan, Mr. Abbott?
Thank you, Mrs. McDonald. You're quite a mixer.
Call me Dottie. You've been much too formal ever since you got here.
Well, I'm sorry it's necessary for me to talk about your husband's death.
Oh, that's all right. I guess I'm not the weepy type anyway. Oh, I'll miss Rick. That's that. I'll miss him, well, for a while anyway.
Sounds like you two...
Oh, we got along as well as the usual married couple. Oh, you know how it is. Mm-hmm. Well, when you get married, you'll find there are lots of jokers in the deck. But, you didn't come here to talk about our marriage, did you?
No. I came to ask you about Harry Tenike. Do you know him very well? The used car tycoon?
Harry? Oh, sure. Harry and Rick both wanted to marry me. That was back in 41. Well, then we got into the war, and Harry was drafted. So I married Rick. Later, Rick got into the drugstore business and made a lot of money. It kind of burned Harry up. You know, first he lost me, and then Rick made a fortune while Harry was on the Anzio beachhead.
Was Tenike around last night, before your husband went out driving?
No, we hadn't seen Harry for a couple of weeks. Why? What are you trying to do? Hey, what are you getting at?
I'm just trying to get at the details.
Tell me something, Dick Tracy.
Sure, what?
Do you by any chance think I killed Rick?
Could be.
Oh, if you do, you're not as smart as you look. Why should I kill him? For the $100,000? I got all the money I want. Here, look at this necklace. You like it?
Yes, very pretty.
Genuine mother of pearl. Rick got it for me. Cost him $5,000. Come closer. Take a good look at it.
Yeah, that's swell.
You like my dress, too?
Mm-hmm.
Rick bought it. He thought it showed me off nicely. What do you think?
Certainly does.
Like my perfume? It's another present.
From Rick?
From a friend. Oh, I have lots of friends. Oh, this perfume's $65 an ounce. Now, do you think I had to kill Rick to make $100,000?
I don't know yet.
It's wonderful perfume, isn't it? Look, Pat, I can't go out while they're burying Rick. It wouldn't look nice. You know, there's a family downstairs, and, well, they'd be shocked. But, I need a little company, you know, somebody to hang around here with me, and I thought, well, maybe you and... Now, who could that be?
I think it's my wife.
Your what?
Oh, Mrs. McDonald? I'm Mrs. Abbott.
How do you do? Come in, won't you? I was just talking to your husband.
Hello, Jean. How'd you know I was here?
We'll talk about that later, Pat. Coming, darling?
Oh, yes, I was just going. Mrs. McDonald and I were discussing the legal aspects of the case.
Did you learn anything interesting, Pat?
Oh, yes. Mrs. McDonald has been very informative.
I'm sure she has. So nice to have met you, Mrs. McDonald.
Well, I'm happier to see you, Mrs. Abbott. Goodbye.
Toodaloo.
Goodbye. Pat Abbott.
Now, Jean, listen to me. I was being very tricky with that woman.
Yes, I can see you were.
I purposely was giving her enough rope, you see, letting her go on and talk. I acted very innocent. I was just looking for clues, and how'd you know I was there?
Right after I left you, it suddenly occurred to me. I asked myself why you were so anxious to send me off on errands. Then I remembered how the insurance man, Mr. King, described Mrs. McDonald. That was quite a legal discussion, Pat. With Manhattans all over the place, the room smelling like a perfume store. Does Mrs. McDonald hold all her legal conferences in slinky lounging pajamas?
Well, I don't know. All I want to say...
It must have been a very serious discussion. Oh, I can just see you, dear, looking at Mrs. McDonald's backless pajamas and saying, of course, what's most important is the case of Rittenhouse versus Humperdinck, where a writ of notel...
Well, now, look, Jean, if you don't trust me...
I trust you, Pat. Do you know something, little boy?
Yes, ma'am.
Santa Claus up at the North Pole watches all the little boys year-round. So he knows who deserves to get presents.
Uh-huh.
He keeps a little book on you, Pat Abbott. And I'd hate to see what he just wrote about you and Mrs. McDonald.
You would, huh?
You're not getting anything from Santa next Christmas, Pat Abbott. Back at Pat's office after we finished discussing Mrs. McDonald, we discussed the case seriously. I asked Pat what the next step was, and he stood up and announced very solemnly...
In regard to the mysterious death of Rick McDonald...
Yes?
I'm going to take the final step necessary to solve the case. I'm going to,
Yes?
I'm going to...
Yes? Yes?
I am going to play beanbag.
Pat wasn't fooling either. Without any explanation, he left me flat in his office and went running over to the Locust Street section where, and he began to play beanbag with all the neighborhood youngsters. I decided that Pat was either disgusted with the case or temporarily insane. I decided this was a perfect opportunity for me to solve the mystery on my own. So I went back to Harry Tenike and his used car lot.
I told your husband to stay away from here, Mrs. Abbott. Now I'm telling you. Now get out and stay out.
Then I tried Mrs. McDonald.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Abbott, but there isn't anything more I can tell you. Well, I think your husband covered everything very nicely when he was here.
3 days went by, and all this time Pat was still in his second childhood phase, playing one-a-cat, cops and robbers, and handball with the youngsters. He was on a sandlot watching a ball game when...
Hey, some game, eh, Billy?
Oh, boy, it sure is, Mr. Abbott.
Now, remember, if we win this one, I'm going to buy you a brand new first baseman's mitt.
Oh, golly. Would you? Oh, boy.
You got many toys, Billy?
Oh, sure. I got millions of them.
Uh-huh. Listen, Billy, you want to tell me a secret?
Uh-huh. What?
Well, it's about something that happened last week. Now, you can tell me the answer. You can trust me, you know.
Sure. What is it?
Well, now, I won't tell a soul. But I want you to tell me the truth.
Go ahead. Shoot.
Billy, did you lose a scooter?
That night, the minute Pat came home, he picked up the telephone and put in a call for Mr. King of California Fidelity.
Well, I hope King is home, Jean.
You must have found out something very important to be calling him at home, Pat.
Yes, I did.
Hello?
Mr. King.
Yes?
This is Pat Abbott.
Oh, hello there, Abbott. Well, you got something for us?
Yes, I think I've got your answer. And the scooter did have something to do with it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. I'll come right over.
All right.
Tell you what, my car's downstairs. I'll drive over and pick you up, then we can go to my office. I'll open it up, and I'll round up one of our lawyers, and then we'll get moving. You can fill out affidavits.
Yeah, fine.
I'll be over in, I should be there in 10 minutes. Bye-bye.
I'll be waiting. Bye.
Well, Pat, what'd you find out? Well, you're not going to make me wait for Mr. King, are you?
I found out.
Yes?
I found out that beanbag is a much more difficult game than you think.
We waited quite a while for Mr. King, almost 30 minutes. Pat got impatient and went to the corner stationery store for the evening papers. Finally, Mr. King appeared. We got into his car and drove off for the insurance office.
All right, Abbott. What's the story?
Well, Mr. King, in the first place, just as you suspected, McDonald didn't have an accident.
Really? Go on, Abbott.
Well, I spoke to Harry Tenike and to Mrs. McDonald, but the most fascinating item in the whole setup, as far as I was concerned, was a scooter found in the back of McDonald's automobile.
Yes. You said over the phone that you had something on that.
Yeah, well, I made it my business to hang around with the kids who lived near the McDonald's. I sort of built up a reservoir of goodwill with the gang of them.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know if one of them had lost a scooter, and sure enough, one of them had. His name was Billy Livingston. Great kid, Billy. Kind of devilish, too. You see, the night McDonald died, Billy had stolen into the back of McDonald's auto with his scooter. He was hiding back there, trying to sneak a free ride. Well, McDonald parked in front of a stationery store and had gone inside to buy a paper or something. And while Billy crouched on the floor in the back, someone came up. He lifted the hood of McDonald's car and jimmied the works. Probably loosened the steering rod. Well, Billy got scared and ran away, leaving his scooter on the back seat. That's why it was found in the wreckage. Well, after the news went around town, Billy was too frightened to announce that it was his scooter.
Well, could Billy see well enough from the back seat that night to recognize who jimmied the car?
Mm-hmm. He could, Gene.
You mean the kid knows who committed the murder? He can identify them?
He can.
Well, who was it? Who killed McDonald?
You did, Mr. King.
Pat, you said...
Yes, I said Mr. King did, Gene.
I made a mistake, Abbott. I purposely hired you, figuring that it would be a nice cover-up for me. The double bluff, you know? The guy who pulled the gag, insisting that there be an investigation. Seems I underestimated you. I thought you'd go up a blind alley or pin it on Harry Tenike.
Pat, we've got...
You don't have to do anything, Mrs. Abbott. I carry a .38. I've carried it ever since I killed Rick. Comes in handy now. I can stop my car.
You know, King, the only thing that bothered me is why. Why did you do it?
Because of Dottie McDonald. I had a yen for Dottie. One of those bad ones. Makes you sick inside and pretty desperate. I sweated it out for a while, then she started to pay some attention to me. I went out with her a few times. Got to where I figured that if it weren't for Rick, I could be the number one boy. Especially since Dottie couldn't stand her husband. Being second in the league is no good. You get so you want to be first so much you don't care about anything else. Then Rick called. Wanted insurance on the car. I knew he'd bought a used one, probably a punk one. Harry Tenike hated Rick.
So, Harry Tenike was the perfect suspect, huh?
Sure. And there was another thing. The hill near Locust Avenue where Rick lived. It's a dangerous incline. And automobile accidents make almost perfect murders. So I had all the cards.
Yeah.
Now, if you'll stay right where you are. In the front seat, there's some rope, Mr. Abbott, on the floor beside you. Will you pick it up, please, and hand it to me? And, I think you're an intelligent man. I think you won't try anything. I think you know that if you do, I'll blow your wife's head off.
Here's the rope.
Now, don't move either of you. I can wrap a rope around you with my left hand, I think. So, and tie it down to the door handle. So, gotta pull it tight. There we are.
What are you going to do?
Mrs. Abbott, the hill where Rick went over is just ahead of us. I'm going to start the car and then jump out. Simple, isn't it?
No, you can't do that. If we're found in your car without...
Did you ever hear of accident faking, Mrs. Abbott? That's another side to this fascinating business that I'm in. I had a long talk with one of the best accident fakers in the country last year. He taught me quite a few things. It'd be very easy for me to scratch my hands and legs and be found terribly shocked with the dead bodies of Mr. and Mrs. Abbott. We had an awful accident. You were killed. I was luckier.
Pat, he can't.
Easy, darling.
Now, I'll start the car. Now, if you don't mind, I'll be leaving.
Pat, he's gone. You've got to stop this car.
He tied this rope too tight.
I can't move my arms either. There's the hill, Pat. Right ahead of us. Stop the car. Stop the car. Oh, Pat, you've got to stop the car. There's the hill right ahead of us.
Come out, Billy.
Okay, Mr. Abbott.
Our friend Billy Livingston is with us, Gene. He's been hiding in the back. You know what I taught you to do, Billy?
Sure. I remember. I'll do it. I've just got to climb over this seat.
Hurry, Billy, hurry. There's a police car back.
They must have noticed this car's out of control. Now, go on, Billy. Do what I told you. Don't get excited.
Now I take hold of the steering wheel. Right, Mr. Abbott?
That's it, boy. Take it. Hold on to it. Steady. Steady.
Stop the car. Here's the hill, Pat. Here it comes.
You know which pedal's the brake, Billy. I showed you that.
Yes, I know. Now I step on the brake.
Keep the wheel steady and straight.
I can't reach the brake. My foot's too short.
Try, Billy. Go on, boy. Try. Reach, Billy. Reach. You've got to step on that brake.
Oh, it's so hard to reach it.
You're touching it, Billy. That's it. Now step on it.
The hill. The hill. Little Billy Livingston jammed his foot down on the brake just as we reached the soft shoulder on the curve. Just as we would have gone over. The police car behind us pulled up, and in less than 3 minutes, Pat led them to Mr. King, who was walking nonchalantly down the side of the road toward the bottom of the hill, where he thought we would be found dead. Later that evening at home. Pat, how did you happen to teach Billy how to stop the car? And how is it that he was hiding in the back anyway?
Well, do you remember when I got impatient, waiting for King to show up?
Uh-huh.
I strolled down to the stationery store.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I picked up Billy. I thought King might try something like that once he knew I had him. Billy seemed to be quite a little expert at hiding in back of cars by now, so I took him along as an ally.
Very neat. Now, about, Dottie.
Oh, yes, Dottie.
Mm.
Wasn't she gorgeous? Sort of a care package from Errol Flynn. She keeps going where Betty Grable leaves off.
Wait a minute. Wait. What has she got that I haven't got?
Now, you come on out to the terrace in the moonlight, darling, and I'll take inventory.
The National Broadcasting Company has presented The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as those nationally known popular personalities of detective fiction, Pat and Jean Abbott, created by Francis Crane. We wish to thank Ann Corio for portraying the role of Dot McDonald in tonight's story. Our cast tonight included Mandel Kramer and David Pfeffer. The Adventures of the Abbotts was written by Howard Merrill. Original music composed and conducted by Dewey Bergman. Produced by Ted Lloyd and Bernard L. Schubert. Directed and recorded by Harry Frazee. Next week, same time, same station, another exciting adventure in crime with Pat and Jean in The Adventures of the Abbotts. This is Roger Tuttle speaking.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
After all, if your husband is chasing a murderer, well, it doesn't look very nice for him to have his face smeared with lipstick, now does it? Especially if it's another woman's lipstick.
The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as Pat and Jean Abbott, the nationally popular characters of detective fiction created by Francis Crane. Pat and Jean are brought to you each week at this time by NBC, inviting you to join them for another recorded adventure in romance and crime. And here is Jean Abbott to set the stage for tonight's puzzle in murder, a story entitled The Rickshaw Red Lipstick.
Very much against Pat's wishes, I went down to the San Francisco waterfront with him. Even though we live in the town, he usually forbids my going there. We went to a dilly of a place. It was a rough-and-tumble bar and cabaret for longshoremen. We'd gone there to look for an old friend of Pat's, Frank Svensson, a retired sea captain who owned the property. You see Mr. Svensson anywhere, Pat?
No. I can't understand what's become of him, Jean. Last week when he phoned me, he sounded very worried.
Tell the lady's fortune? Would the lady want to know the secrets that lie in the card?
No, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Jean, darling, in case you haven't heard, fortune-telling is a lot of malarkey.
Oh, but that's where you're wrong, sir. If Madame will try, you shall see how accurate my predictions are. It is only $1.
It's a fake, Jean. The whole thing is a fake.
But, sir...
Now, look, never mind the fortune. Just tell me something. Is Frank Svensson around?
Swenson?
Yes, he owns the property here.
I am sorry. I've never heard of him. Oh, Madame. Very interesting. Ilona sees you have a fascinating palm. Now, if Madame would
What do you see, Ilona?
I see many handsome men.
Oh.
You do?
Of course, they are dim in the past.
Maybe you'd better skip the past, Ilona.
I should say not. Let's hear about it. I didn't know you had a lot of men in your past, dear.
Oh, there's one in particular. A continental type.
Oh, there is?
Oh, he was very important in your past, Madame.
Well, just skip it, will you? A lot of this fortune-telling is malarkey.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Well, I'll have you know that these fortune-tellers are very accurate sometimes. Now, go ahead, Ilona.
Madame was dancing with this man, some years ago.
Ilona, maybe you'd better tell my fortune from the cards, Never mind the past?
No, not on your life. A continental type, huh? With oil in his hair, maybe? And a little mustache?
Pat, I did know a few men before I met you. But what of it?
Aha. This line in the palm, the love line, it turns toward this man in your past. You saw him many times, and then
that
one night...
will do, Ilona. Thank you. That's all. The end. Cut.
No. Go on, Ilona. Take a real good look at her hand, and then tell me.
Yes, Mr...
Abbott. Pat Abbott. This is my wife, Jean. Now, tell me...
yes?
What happened that one night with that broken-down Romeo?
He was not broken down, and he was not a Romeo.
Well, that night, the palm tells me that they...
Thank you, Ilona. That's fine. I'm so sorry you finished. Pay her, Pat.
Oh.
Pat, please.
Okay. Here you are, Ilona.
$5?
Yes, it was worth it.
Oh, you are so sweet. For that, Ilona kissed you.
Hey,
thank you. Muchas gracias.
I have suddenly developed a violent dislike for that woman.
Oh, why? I think she was very interesting. The palm is so fascinating.
Wipe that lipstick off your face and stop grinning.
She couldn't help kissing me, Jean. I affect women that way. Hey, look at my handkerchief. What color is that lipstick she has?
Oh, it's a new shade, Pat. It has purple in it. That's why it looks so funny.
Oh.
It's called Rickshaw Red.
Makes me seasick.
Pat, Pat, there's a fight over at the bar.
Well, sit tight, dear. Be prepared to duck.
One of them's awfully young, Pat, isn't he? Looks like he's about 19. Well, he shouldn't start anything with that big fellow who's talking to him. He'll get his jaw broken.
Don't worry, Jean. That kid can handle himself.
Well, he doesn't look that way to me.
Bring a chair. Keep behind this table, Jean.
Pat, the big fellow will kill that young boy. Pat, they have guns. Stop them.
No, it's too late. Keep down, Jean.
Pat, the boy killed him. He shot the big fellow.
Oh, no, he didn't. The kid had a gun, all right, but if you look at that big lug's body lying there in the sawdust, you'll see he didn't die of bullets. There's a knife in his back, Jean. While they were making fireworks with the gun, somebody in this place tossed a knife into that big boy on the floor.
The boy, Pat, he's coming over here.
Please, help me. I gotta get out of here.
Huh?
They'll hold me for the cops. Look, I didn't kill him. Someone threw a knife. That's what killed him. I just aimed for his arm. You've got to believe me.
All right. Come on. While this crowd's running around, maybe we can duck out the back door.
It's this way. Please help me. Stay with me. Someone's got to listen to me. Down at Pier 7, we've got to stop that boat.
What boat? What's wrong?
I'll tell you on the way. We can stop them if you're game.
Game?
Yes. You see, they're liable to kill anyone who steps on board.
The young boy stood there in the smoky barroom with the crowd milling around. Blood was streaming from his mouth where the big fellow had smashed him with his fist. He was hysterical. Pat grabbed him with one arm and me with the other. Then he practically carried us out of there past the dead body lying in the sawdust, through the back door and into a cobblestone alley. As we ran toward the docks, the boy calmed down.
Pier 7 is this way, Mr. Abbott.
You know my name. I don't know yours.
It's Lee. Lee Reynolds. Hurry, we haven't much time.
All right. And what boat are you taking us? What's this all about?
The boat's the Anna Marie. I signed up to sail with her last week. She leaves tonight. She's commissioned to carry food to Europe, registered for a special United Nations cargo.
All right, go on.
Listen, if we're going on board, your wife better wait here. On this ship, they play for keeps.
He's right, Jean.
Well, if you make me stay here on dock, I'll only follow you once you've gone.
Sorry, Lee. She's the stubborn type. Keep talking.
Well, the boat's across the street here, and you... Oh, look out for that trap!
Pat, look out! Pat, are you all right?
Yeah. It was awfully close, though.
These dark streets. I'm surprised they don't have more accidents.
That wasn't an accident.
Huh?
Somebody wants to keep us off that boat. What's on that ship?
Well, I don't know exactly. That's why I haven't told the police. It'd take too long to convince them. By that time, they'd sail. But there's something in that hold. There must be something in the hold of that baby. Something very hot. From the minute I got on board, Mr. Abbott, everybody acted kind of screwy. The captain, the steward, everybody. And they won't let me go near the hold.
By the way, who's the big fellow you got into the brawl with?
He was in the crew. I told him that I knew it was a phony cargo of some kind. I threatened to talk. I'm no crook. Well, he blew his top. But I didn't kill him. My shots went wild. Whoever threw that knife killed him.
All right. Where'd you get the gun?
In a hock shop in Chinatown. I knew I'd need one just as soon as I got mixed up in this deal.
Well, you better give it to me. You'll get into more trouble with it.
No.
Hmm?
I want to keep it.
All right, Lee, you can keep it.
There's the ship. Supposed to be loaded with food packages for European relief.
Well, they haven't got steam up yet. We have some time anyway. All right, what's the setup, Lee? Want to sneak down into the hold?
No, that won't work. They have it watched. I found that out. I think it'd be smarter to go right in and talk to the captain. Look, Mr. Abbott, you're a private detective. You might get an angle. It'd fool them, too. Walking in right to the captain's quarters. They won't suspect us.
Well, that makes sense.
Here's the gangway.
What'll you tell the captain, Lee?
Well, I'll say you're friends of mine. Visiting.
I wish you'd go home, Mrs. Abbott. I don't think this is going to be a very pleasant visit.
I wish you'd be quiet, Mr. Abbott. I wouldn't go home now for anything in the world.
There are the captain's quarters.
Come in.
Excuse me, Captain.
What is it, Lee?
This is Mr. and Mrs. Abbott, friends of mine. I invited them on board for a visit.
I thought I made it clear to you that we don't allow any visitors.
Oh, Captain, I've heard a skipper's usually very proud of his boat. You've a wonderful ship here.
Never mind the charm, Mrs. Abbott. I'd appreciate it if you and your husband would get off the boat.
You have a cargo of food for Europe, they tell me, Captain.
Do they?
Yes, Lee was telling me how glad he was to be on an assignment like this.
You talk too much, Lee. You talk about everything but yourself. Did he tell you he's a jailbird?
No, he didn't.
Well, you should be more careful of the friends you select, Mr. Abbott. Now, if you leave, I told you I won't stand for no visitors. Or shall I have the crew escort you off?
Okay, Captain. Coming, Jean? Lee? Oh, thanks for your hospitality, Captain.
Get off this ship!
The deck's this way. You want to sneak into the hole now, Mr. Abbott?
No, not now, Lee. I have another problem on my mind. I'm going back to that bar.
To the bar, Pat?
Yes, I want to know what became of Svensson.
Who's he?
A friend of mine. He owned the property where the bar is.
Well, what's that got to do with this boat?
Plenty. If they're working some kind of a racket on this ship, they need a headquarters. A spot near the water. And Svensson, who owned that bar just a block or so from here, has disappeared. Now, that's interesting. I'm going back there and play hide and seek. Now, you wait here, Lee.
But...
You come with me, Gene.
But the ship, it'll sail. And if we could get down into the hole and find out what they've got there, we might be able to stop them.
Well, we'll have to take that chance. Now, you stay on board, Lee. When I come back, I'll stand in the dock and whistle. Like this. You got it?
Right. And I'll whistle the same thing back to you. That means it's okay to come on board. Good luck, Mr. Abbott.
Bye, Lee. Careful, Gene. Watch the gangway going down.
Pat, do you trust Lee?
Why do you say that?
Well, he insisted on keeping his gun. And the captain said he was a jailbird.
Might mean something, yes.
How about the captain himself?
No, we can't do anything until we find Svensson, darling. He'll clear this up, if he's alive.
We sneaked back through the dark streets. This time, Pat was doubly careful for trucks or any other fake accident. Then, in the bar... a waiter came over to us.
All right, what do you have?
Just a beer, thanks.
Nothing for me.
Okay, one beer.
Just a minute, chum. Seen Frank Svensson around?
I never heard of him.
I'm anxious to know where Svensson is. It'll be worth a lot to me.
Sorry, bud.
Might be worth $10.
No dice, pal.
20?
Look, I got a bad memory. It takes plenty to get it working.
All right, how's 50?
Yeah, where is it?
Right here. Now, where's Svensson?
That I don't know. But I can tell you this. I went walking with Svensson the other night. Down by 23rd and Canal. It was very dark, and somebody walloped me over the head. Yeah. I didn't see who it was. I went out cold. When I come to, Svensson was gone. I ain't seen him since. And the new head waiter here told me to stop asking about him if I didn't want to get my head handed to me.
Oh, thanks.
Now, look, I'm telling you this because I like the guy, you understand? It ain't the door, no. I'm the sentimental type.
Yeah, sure. There's one more question.
Yeah?
Where's the telephone?
Yeah, by the front door. To the left, you see it?
Okay.
Well, who are you going to call, Pat?
The harbor police.
What?
I want to invite them to go fishing.
Oh, Pat, stop clowning.
I'm serious, Gene. I want them to come fishing with me for a corpse.
In just a moment, Act 2 of tonight's mystery, The Rickshaw Red Lipstick.
What do you know about your government? What, for example, do you know about the work of the Interstate Commerce Commission? Some 75 years ago, there were approximately 150 different time zones in our country, each of which was set up regionally. In order to erase such confusion, the Interstate Commerce Commission was established. It divided the country into 4 standard time zones so that railroads, planes, buses, and the mail could run on a uniform schedule. The Interstate Commerce Commission also makes rules and regulations for all forms of interstate transportation. It makes certain that railroads, truck lines, barges, and boats are operated safely, charge reasonable rates, and give dependable service. Yes, when it comes to the regulation of national time and the protection of national travel, the Interstate Commerce Commission is always at the service of the American people. That's how your government works.
And now for Act Two of The Adventures of the Abbotts, the Rickshaw Red Lipstick.
At Pat's request, the harbor police met him at 23rd and Canal with dredging equipment. Their spotlights searched the water, while Pat and I stood on a police boat, idling at the wharf, watching.
I hope my hunch was right. It's got to be right.
They haven't found a thing, Pat.
Well, they will, Jean. Just be patient. Well, that does it. There he is.
That body in the net?
That's Svensson, Jean. Not very presentable, is he?
Oh, it's horrible.
Well, after a dead body's been in the water for some time, it's not a pretty picture.
Say, boys, could you put him down over here? I don't want to break up your routine. I just want to get a quick look at him.
Oh. You take a look, Pat. I've seen enough.
It's all right, darling. Turn around. Don't look. Thanks, boys.
That's okay.
I just want to give my old friend Svensson a once-over. Well, looks like he got the usual treatment. Somebody broke his neck, then put big rocks in his pockets and tossed him into the drink. Well, this is interesting, these papers.
Tell me what you found, Pat.
Oh, there are letters here, Jean, unsigned, telling Svensson he'd better sell his property or else. At least that's about all I can read. They're soaked. Well, come on, I've got another phone call to make.
Who is it this time? Will you stop talking in riddles?
I'm going to call the license bureau. I want to know who owns that bar now. Who took it over from Svensson? Sure, it's hot here, isn't it?
Take my handkerchief, darling, and wipe your brow.
No, thanks. I've got my own. That's better. Oh. Yes, Jean, I'm going to phone and ask who owns the bar.
Got any theories about who it is? Lee or the captain?
I think I know who it is, Jean. Thanks to the fact that it's very warm tonight.
As usual, my strong, silent husband wouldn't tell me another thing. I begged, I wheedled, I threatened, but it didn't do any good. He wouldn't tell me why the warm weather gave him a tip about who was behind all this. The bureau told him the name of the owner of the bar over the telephone. Of course, he wouldn't tell me that either. He was in one of his reticent moods. Then we stole back to the dock, to Pier 7. It was pitch black. The boat was silhouetted against an enormous yellow moon. The ship seemed deserted. Pat stood on the dock and gave the signal he'd agreed upon with Lee.
Well, here goes, Jean. I hope Lee is all right. I'm going on board.
Well, if you think you're going alone, chum, you...
Easy. Let's get up this gangway.
Pat, can you see anything?
No, not much. Moon is bright, but it's awfully dark here. Look, the number 3 hold door is open. I'm going to jump in. You stay here and tell me if you hear anyone coming.
All right. But be careful, Pat.
I will. Here goes.
What's in there, Pat?
Boxes. Food. Marked by the UN Relief Board. They all look like... Wait, I gotta light a match. I can see better. They're all boxes. Wait a minute, I'll open one.
What's inside?
Hey,
Hurry, Pat, tell me. Tell me.
this box had a red mark on the outside. Some of the others didn't. You know what's in the box?
Darling, what? For goodness sake, stop stalling. But what's in that one?
Fountain pens and lipstick. You get it, Jean? They're smuggling stuff into Europe, hidden under the food. Fountain pens, lipsticks. American cigarettes in this one. I have half the boxes in this hold are loaded this way. They could make a fortune in Europe. Do you know what this stuff is worth over there? They've got those color code marks on about every third box. The new customs wouldn't inspect every single one, especially if they had a UN stamp on them, which they probably faked.
Come on, Pat. We'll get the harbor police of all the rackets.
No, don't go, Jean.
Well, why not?
Because if we yell now, we'll never find out who is back of this.
But, Pat, you can't just...
Huh?
Someone's coming.
Can you see who it is?
It's the captain.
Good. I'm coming back on deck. Okay. Now duck behind this barrel with me.
Well, what are you going to do?
Take a shot at the captain. I borrowed this .38 from the harbor police.
Pat, are you crazy? You're going to shoot the captain in cold blood? Just like that?
You'll see. Squat down here with me and don't make a sound.
What the devil? Here. Who's there? Who's there?
He's gone, Pat. To the other end of the deck.
It's fine. Now the next step.
You missed, Pat. I'm ashamed of you. You wanted to wing him, didn't you?
No. I wanted to miss. Can you see what he's doing now?
Just his silhouette. He's gone into his cabin, I think.
And that's just where I'm going. Captain and I are going to have a little chat, Jean, about murder. Good evening, Captain.
Abbott, what are you doing here? I thought I told you...
You were a bit rude during our last visit, Captain, but I don't think you should die for it.
Me? Die?
Yes, we learned a lot about you, Captain, but you don't know much about me. I'm a private detective. As I came up the gangplank just now, I heard a pistol shot. Shall I tell you what it was?
What do you know, Abbott?
I know all about the little smuggling deal that's going on. I know that whoever the head of the ring is just took a shot at you.
Ah, you're out of your mind.
A member of your crew was killed tonight in a bar near this dock. Frank Svensson was killed, too, because he wouldn't sell the property where the bar is located. The head of this outfit, Captain, tossed a knife into that seaman and also did away with Svensson. Now you're next.
Go on.
You're next because the boss has decided to take all the dough and leave you out. Does that sound like I'm out of my mind? If it does, take a look at the sleeve of your coat where the bullet grazed it. They won't miss next time, Captain.
We know a lot of odd stories, don't we?
Now, you've got a chance to get off easy. Maybe turn state's evidence. Maybe get out of the rap for murder. You're in it now, Captain. You had knowledge of the crimes. You're an accomplice.
How do I know you're on the level yourself?
Don't you worry about me. Just take my advice. Get to the boss and straighten yourself out. If you don't get to the boss very fast, you're a dead duck. I told you the fireworks were just beginning, didn't I?
All right. You wait here. I'll settle this, so help me, I'll settle it. If that dirty crook is trying to get rid of me, I'll...
Where's he going, Pat?
He's going to speak to the boss. My little trick worked.
Oh?
Come on, Jean, let's follow him. He's going up to the bridge, see? The boss must be up there. Easy now. Let him go up alone. In a second, you'll see who's been running this setup. Let him go up the stairs. That's it. Now, we wait here and listen.
Well, if I stand on tiptoe, I can see who he's talking to.
Go ahead, then. It's Alona, the fortune teller.
Right, Pat. But how did you know?
Shh. I'll tell you later. Just listen to them.
Yes, you tried to bump me off just now, didn't you? You're standing here giving me the applesauce about how everything is great. Then when I walk away from you, you start taking pot shots at me, you rock.
I did not shoot at you. Now shut up and get this boat out of here. They are waiting for the stuff in Lisbon.
This boat ain't going anywhere. Not yet, it ain't. I'm no sucker. You think I'm going to turn my back again and give you another chance to get me out of the way? You got a habit of knocking people off, Alona. You threw Swenson into the river, didn't you?
I got rid of Swenson because he was in my way. I like things to go smoothly, Captain. But since you have decided to shoot your mouth off, I am sorry...
Put down that knife! Don't throw that knife!
Oh, my arms!
Sorry, I had to use this 38 to stop you, Alona.
Abbott!
I wasn't sure how good you were with a knife. You missed Lee at the bar tonight and killed that crewman by mistake. I wouldn't have minded especially if you'd hit the captain here, but you might have missed again and hit me or my wife. You know Jean, I believe.
Oh, don't bother introducing us, Pat. We've
Mr.
met...
Mr. Abbott.
Yes, well, you can relax now, Lee. You seem to have cleared things up a bit. Where were you?
Well, I got frightened waiting out there on deck. I went to look for you.
I see. Now, let's go, Alona. You too, Captain.
All right.
Oh, Alona, I wanted to thank you.
Thank me? For what?
For telling my wife's fortune. For telling me about that second-hand Charles Boyer she was in love with.
He was not second-hand, and he was not like Charles Boyer. He took me driving a few times, and then one night... Oh, it's awfully hot tonight, isn't it? Pat, darling. Before you go to sleep, tell me something.
What?
Well, when they found Svenson's body in the river, you said you knew who was the head of the ring. You said you knew it because it was warm tonight. What did you mean?
Well, it was warm, and I was perspiring, and you offered me your handkerchief. But I used mine instead, remember? And when I did, I saw lipstick on it. Rickshaw Red Lipstick. From the time Alona kissed me after I gave her that $5 tip. Now, that rang the bell. The lipsticks placed in the cases on the ship were Rickshaw Red. And who was the only person in the whole picture we'd forgotten about? Alona. Of course, I wasn't sure, but then I called headquarters and asked for the name of the new owner of Svenson's bar, and, well, that confirmed it. So, you see, lipstick does have great value.
Well, Alona should have worn the kiss-proof kind, like mine.
Oh, is your lipstick kiss-proof? Mm-hmm. Really kiss-proof? Doesn't any of it come off when you kiss me?
It's guaranteed.
Jean, darling.
Yes, Pat.
Let's try it and see.
Oh, there. Convinced now?
No, that isn't scientific. Any scientist will tell you the test isn't valid unless it's tried at least 100 times.
Oh, but that would take all night.
Wouldn't it?
The National Broadcasting Company has presented The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as those nationally popular personalities of detective fiction, Pat and Jean Abbott, created by Francis Crane. The cast included Everett Sloan, Lottie Stavisky, and Bob Hastings. The Adventures of the Abbotts was written by Howard Merrill. Original music composed and conducted by Dewey Bergman. Produced by Ted Lloyd and Bernard L. Schubert. Directed and recorded by Harry Frazee. Next week, same time, same station. Another exciting adventure in crime with Pat and Jean in The Adventures of the Abbotts. This is Wayne Howell speaking.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
After all, if your husband was a private detective, would you let him take a case involving a sensational blonde divorcee?
The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as Pat and Jean Abbott, those popular characters of detective fiction created by Francis Crane. Pat and Jean are brought to you each week at this time by NBC. The handsome young detective and his lovely wife invite you to join them for another exciting recorded adventure in romance and crime. Now, here is Jean Abbott to set the stage for tonight's puzzle in murder, a story she calls The Yellow Chip.
Espionage is not usually my Pat's cup of tea. He stays in the area of crimes of passion, swindling, and other forms of human hijinks. So he didn't expect this visit one bright morning at his office in San Francisco. A distinguished-looking chap in a pinstripe suit sat opposite Pat's desk. He'd obviously waited until Pat was alone, very much alone.
Would you mind locking your door, Mr. Abbott?
Oh, not at all. It's a gambit that's been played in this office before. You can also stop looking around. There's no tap. Nothing's recorded secretly in here. The walls are soundproof, too. Now, what's your name and what's the pitch?
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Richards, Mr. Abbott.
Yes, Colonel?
I'm in counterintelligence. My credentials?
Mm-hmm. What can I do for you, Colonel?
We keep a dossier on every private detective in the country, Mr. Abbott.
Well, I should hope so, sir.
Yours is very impressive.
Thank you.
You were of great help to us during the war.
What's on your mind now, Colonel?
In spite of the dossier, we've again run a field check on you for the past few months.
Mm-hmm. Did I make out all right?
Perfectly. The reason for the precaution is that we're obliged to ask your help again on an extremely confidential matter.
Oh, what is it?
It has top priority in Washington. It's the only subject on which every development goes directly to the president's desk. It's...
Yes?
Our vulnerability to atomic bombing. I must remind you, Mr. Abbott, that you've been chosen for this because we believe your loyalty is absolutely beyond question.
I understand.
I'm also required to inform you that from here on, if you allow me to continue, you are subject to the federal laws on giving aid and comfort to the enemy. In other words, if you pass on the information I'm going to reveal, you are committing an act of treason against the United States government. Is that clear?
Go ahead, sir.
After the Norwegian underground blew up the Nazi heavy water plant at Wehrmacht in 1942, the Germans redoubled their efforts to produce atomic weapons. They'd captured a Dutch scientist in Amsterdam. They persuaded him to work in their laboratories.
On what grounds?
They told him they wanted a radioactive missile to make pinpoint bombing even more accurate. The idea was to drop very small radioactive substances on the target, and then by using Geiger counter apparatus on the bombing planes, the bombs could be guided with amazing precision. That way, they said, only military installations would be hit and the innocent civilians would never suffer.
And he fell for it?
Temporarily. He was a naive, trusting chap. He worked on the problem just long enough to develop a valuable formula.
Well, what did the Nazis really want with the formula?
They wanted a reliable way to launch directional rockets to bomb our stockpiles.
Did they get it?
No. The Dutchmen realized what they were up to and sneaked the formula out of Nazi territory.
And where is it now?
In the wrong hands. I don't believe that I have to tell you that there are plenty of foreign agents around. Many of them have fantastic plans. A group of them has that formula.
Well, can't your men find it?
No. That's why I've come to you. We don't dare let them try. This is a brilliant group of men we're dealing with, Mr. Abbott. They happen to know the personal identity of every single one of my agents.
I see.
I had one agent I didn't think they knew about. He tracked the formula to Nevada, to Las Vegas. He was on the phone with me last night. Someone murdered him while he was speaking to me. Now, we need someone who isn't with the department.
Did he get any information to you before he died?
Not a thing. My telephone number is Elliot 34540. Don't write it down anywhere. Memorize it.
Elliot 34540.
That's right. You'll call that number only when you're at a coin telephone. There mustn't be any record of it from, say, a hotel room phone.
Yes, certainly.
Now, here's your ticket on the 825 plane to Las Vegas, and a reservation has been made for you at the Silver Dollar Hotel. You have unlimited funds. We traced the fatal telephone call, of course. It came from a gambling spot called the Paradise. And I'm afraid that's all we know. You'll have to take over from there. You'll carry no identification, no weapons. Your wife, who I know always goes along on cases with you, has not been cleared. We preferred you do this alone, so we didn't initiate a security check on her. Can you leave your present cases and fly tonight?
Well, of course, sir. It was an obvious priority for a matter of this sort.
Fine. You're not to communicate with Washington, nor with any government agency anywhere. You must function entirely on your own. Don't forget my phone. Your life may depend on it. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Just turn the lock. Good night, sir.
Good night, Mr. Abbott.
Elliot 34540. Elliot 34540.
Quiet day, darling. Well, sit down. I'll get you a drink.
No, thanks, Jean. I'm leaving.
Oh, wonderful. We're off on a juicy case. Well, where are we going?
For the very first time, dear, you're staying. I'm going.
Oh, stop teasing. What's this about?
Government matter.
I said stop teasing. Oh, government matter. Somebody steal Ike's golf clubs?
Those two words are all you're going to hear. In fact, if I didn't trust you implicitly, I wouldn't even have said that. I'd have just disappeared for a while. And don't repeat what I said either. To anybody.
Well, this sounds like double talk, Pat. I'll bet you've a case involving the chorus line at the Copa, and you think dragging your wife along will cramp your style.
I wish it were just that.
You won't tell me a thing?
Nothing. You'll hear from me when it's over. The nature of this problem is such that you is out of it, dear. Sorry.
Well, don't get too brave, Pat. I want you back.
When my plane reached Las Vegas, I checked into the Silver Dollar Hotel. Then I headed for the gambling spot, the Paradise. It was second rate. Jukeboxes, slot machines, cowboys. The usual thrill-seeking divorcees in ermine capes. I was at the bar. The most terrific blonde I'd ever seen came over to me. I tried to remember that I had a wife, but my memory kept failing me.
You bored, too?
Uh-huh.
My name's Rita. Mrs. Henry Chapman entered a few hours ago when the judge did me the usual favor.
Oh, mine is Pat Abbott. You should be celebrating, shouldn't you?
I did, but I've sobered up.
Was he the oil well Henry Chapman?
Yes, the distinguished industrialist, who at this moment is probably out cold under a table in one of the better Dallas nightclubs. Life is très gay for Henry. I'm having not much fun, Pat.
Well, it goes for me, too.
Maybe this isn't our kind of excitement.
Maybe.
What are you doing in Las Vegas?
Losing money? What else is there to do?
Are you kidding? I've got my car outside, Pat. It's a special job. It does 110. You want to take the top down? It's a beautiful night. You want to take the wheel and play roller coaster under the mountain road?
Thanks. No, I wouldn't be up to it.
Oh.
Evening, Rita.
Hello, Mr. Grimes.
You and your gentleman friend don't look like you're enjoying yourselves very much.
We're not. Pat Abbott, Bill Grimes.
Hello.
I am.
Well, I think I could suggest something that'd send your blood pressure up.
We're starting a game upstairs. Care to join us?
Phil plays rough, Pat. You got some money?
Enough.
Enough for one of Phil's games. A very fancy number.
Sounds interesting.
I get very unpleasant with guys who don't pay off, Abbott.
So do I. Let's go upstairs. The room upstairs wasn't the usual room at all. It was the most luxurious private gambling room I've ever seen. Elaborate gold decanters for liquor, pure ivory lamp bases, hand-painted wallpaper that made the room look very smart, and a knockout view of the Nevada desert in the moonlight from huge picture windows. We played 5-card stud, table stakes, for very fancy numbers indeed. Some of Phil's henchmen kept watching us. I knew something was wrong after just a few hands. Phil and Rita were playing as though they wanted to lose. After about an hour, Phil had dealt a hand. He dropped out. I was playing against Rita. I had 4 diamonds. She had 2 aces showing. I figured the cold card was an ace. I pushed my stake in. It was heavy.
Nice pot. $7,000.
If you're seeing me, Rita, you're short 1,000 on the table.
Yes, so I am. I haven't any more yellow chips. You want me to write a check?
I'll trust you. Till the hand is over.
Don't worry about it, Abbott. She's good for it. I've known Rita a long time.
Wait a minute. I have an idea. Where's my pocketbook?
Right here.
Oh, see if I can find it. Ah, there it is. My lucky gold chip. Always carry it with me. I'll put that in. It works miracles for me. Never fails.
Where'd you get that chip?
Oh, I don't know. I picked it up in a game somewhere. But it's lucky as a rabbit's foot for me.
You sure you don't remember where you got it?
No. Why?
Nothing.
Let's see that other card, Rita.
It's an ace. I've got 3 aces.
Sounds good. How about you, Pat? Diamond flush. Chip wasn't lucky for you tonight, Rita. The charm's all gone.
Now, do we go on?
Not me. I know when to quit. This isn't my night.
Rita?
I've had enough, Pat.
Well, this gold chip is very pretty. Never saw one so heavy. What's the design mean?
Well, I haven't the slightest idea.
Let me see it. Oh, it's really beautiful. I'll buy it from you, Abbott.
No, I think I'll keep it. It was pretty lucky for me.
I'd like to have that chip, Abbott. Now, worth 1,000. I'll give you 1,500.
Now, don't be superstitious. You only want it because you think it'll win some games for you. Look what it did to Rita.
2,000?
No sale.
I want that chip, Abbott. I made you a legitimate offer for it. I'd advise you to take it. Because one way or another, you're not walking out of here with it.
Oh, really?
Get out of here, Rita. This isn't going to be very pretty. Now, I'm still asking you politely, Abbott. Give me the chip.
Why don't you try to take it?
All right, Abbott. I will.
Put down that bottle, Phil. You crummy. Hey, the lights. He killed the lights. Turn them on. The door. Where's the door?
This way, Pat. Toward me. Can you see me?
Yes, I see it. Get the knob. Get him, will you?
Take me with you. Pat, take me with you.
Get the devil out of my way. Louis! Vince, get him! Get after him!
I was groggy. But I made it downstairs and out the back way. The fresh air revived me. Some poor guy was just starting his car. I grabbed him by the neck and threw him out, and I took the wheel. I stepped it up to 50. 60. 70. 75. Then in the reflector mirror, I saw them coming. I had the accelerator on the floor now. The car just wouldn't do any better. And they were gaining. They came closer and closer. They were so close, their headlights were picked up in my mirror and almost blinded me. They made out a small group of buildings just ahead. There was a gas station and a large general store with a very large glass show window. There was a dirt road, a cutoff, running to the left of the station. I decided to cut suddenly, as sharply as I could to the left. Take the chance the heavy car wouldn't turn over. And it worked. They braked, swerved, and their car, with 3 men in it, headed for the sidewalk out of control toward the gigantic show window. I didn't climb out of my car. I didn't return to the main road, nor did I go near the wreck. It was just possible that one of Phil's boys had enough life left in him to pull a gun and finish me off. I knew Phil wanted that chip very badly. Now it had cost him 3 men. I also knew that wouldn't stop him. I decided to have a little chat with the one person who probably knew most about the chip. That was Rita. She'd give me her address. It was a vacation cottage near the hotel. It was 3:30 in the morning when I rang her bell.
Yes? Who is it?
Pat, open up.
Pat, it's good to see you. Come on in. I'll turn on the light. Or shouldn't I?
Turn it on, Rita.
I've tried to sleep, but I couldn't. I'm so glad you've come back. Are you all right?
A little shaken, but I'll be okay.
What happened? Where did you go?
We were playing hide and seek on the highway. Where's Phil?
Well, I don't know.
Did he get into the car that followed me?
No. He likes himself too much. Never takes chances.
Where is he now?
I don't know.
This wouldn't be more malarkey, would it, Rita?
No, I'm not a liar, Pat. They've called me other things, but not a phony.
3 men are dead on the desert highway. It's too late in the ball game to get fancy. Now, where is Phil?
I said I don't know, and I don't care. I don't want to be mixed up in this, Pat. You men can play all the little games you want, but leave me out of it. Now, suppose you tell the truth, too.
What do you mean?
Are you really looking for him, or was this an excuse?
An excuse for what?
Oh, to come knocking on a girl's cabana door at 3:30 in the morning.
Rita, I'm a married man.
But your wife isn't with you here in Vegas.
Well, what of it?
I know a Frenchman who said bringing your wife to Paris is like bringing a sandwich to a banquet. Sit down, Pat. Can I make you a drink?
Thanks, no.
Fine thing. A man comes to a girl's room with a clear view of the Nevada desert at night. And the girl isn't exactly unattractive. Or is she?
Oh, quite the contrary.
But he won't sit down. He won't drink. He paces up and down like a caged tiger.
I have questions on my mind.
So have I. Those big shoulders of yours, Pat. You play football in college?
Look, Rita, we'll get to my autobiography some other time. Now, try to remember. Where did you get this yellow chip?
I really don't remember. Now, how long have you been married?
What does the chip mean? Why does Phil want it?
Were you this difficult with your wife, too?
What's all the shooting for about this chip?
I have a wonderful record collection, Pat. You want to hear some?
You don't give up easily, do you?
It depends on what you're talking about. I don't know anything about the chip, if that's what you mean. And I know how they operate around here. You keep asking quiz questions and they'll kill you. They'd kill me if they thought I was doing too much talking, so let's drop the subject, You like my cabana, Pat? I had it specially decorated for my stay here.
Yes, it's very exotic decor, Rita. Now get away from me. Neither you nor anybody else is going to con me off this job.
I don't even know what your job is, Pat.
Well, suppose we try again. What do you know about this chip?
I can't tell you, please, Pat. Phil probably has all the hoods for miles around outgunning for you now. Be sensible. Shut up. And relax. Come over here by the window. Do you know you can see almost 100 miles across the desert from here? Look at those stars, Pat. Don't they put you in a better mood? A mood for...
You've got a one-track mind, Rita.
Do you really object to it?
Well, Look, all I'm asking you to do is tell me where you got that yellow chip. And I'm sure you could recall if you'd try.
All right, Pat. I'll tell you. I'll tell you whatever you want. If you promise to stop talking about it. And think about me instead. I want you, Pat Abbott, very badly. I'd rather tell you what I know so we can get on to something more interesting.
All right. Go on, Rita. Tell me about the chip.
The chip.
A shot came through a window that opened onto the porch. Rita fell, and I raced outside but couldn't see a soul. When I came back to her, all I could do was phone anonymously for a doctor and check out fast. I went back to my room at the hotel and picked up a gun, against instructions. Then I headed for the Paradise. It did no good. It seemed nobody had ever heard of Phil. I kept the search up for about half an hour. Then I decided to make a phone call from a coin phone. Operator, I want Elliot 3, 4540. That's right. Elliot 3, 4540.
Hello?
Colonel Richards?
Yes?
This is Pat Abbott, sir. Sorry to disturb you at this hour.
You got something for us, Abbott?
I think so. Can you come to my room at the hotel immediately?
If you're absolutely certain...
I am, sir. I want to show you something. You'll have to see it personally.
I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Right, see you in 30 minutes. If I can stay alive that long. I went back to my room. I pulled down the shades. I barricaded the door. And I sweated it out. Waiting for Colonel Richards. It was exactly 30 minutes after my phone call. Who is it?
Richards.
Hello, Colonel.
What have you got, Abbott?
This chip. This gold chip.
And to see it.
There's a big shot gambler here. His name is Phil Grimes. He has a whole gang of hoodlums working for him. He wanted to kill me to get that chip. It originally came from a blonde named Rita, the former Mrs. Henry Chapman. One of Grimes' boys just took a shot at her.
Fascinating design.
Yes, does that design mean anything to you? Does it tie up with that Dutch scientist's formula?
We'll have to have a nuclear physicist look at it. But I think you've done it, Abbott. I think this is it. And I'm so grateful to you.
Yes?
I want to give you this. Oh.
When I came to, after Colonel Richards planted one on my jaw, I was tied up. The Colonel and Phil Grimes were both sitting opposite me, and both of them had a very pleased, triumphant expression.
You were very helpful to me, Abbott.
Was I?
Yes. A group of us have been after that chip for a long, long time. I couldn't move into the picture. My identity is too unknown, so I thought of the device of impersonating a federal agent and getting the best detective in the West to fetch it for me.
Well, thanks for the compliment.
I just couldn't wait to get my hands on you, Abbott. Oh. I told Richards not to kill you right away. I tied you up. I'm going to have quite a party for myself, slapping you around.
The design on the chip, of course, is meaningless, Abbott. The trick with the chip is to split it open. The formula's inside. I open it this way. What's that?
Isn't it in there?
No. It's empty. All right, Abbott, come on. You found a microphotograph in this chip. Give it to me.
I never opened the chip.
Ever see a man tortured, Abbott?
Give me the formula.
I told you I haven't got it.
Phil, give me that knife on the table.
Yeah.
Do we get that micro, Abbott? Put your hand out, Abbott. Put your hand out or I'll cut your throat. That's better. Now, this cigarette. Where's the micro?
I haven't got it.
We're losing time, Richards.
Yes, so we are. All right, Abbott. This knife has a good sharp edge. I'm going to put it close to your throat, like this. And for the last time, I'm going to ask you to produce that micro. Well, how about it?
What are you waiting for, Phil? Let's do it now.
Okay, Pat. I'll get his gun. I got it, Pat. All right, come on. Stand up, Richards.
What the devil?
What are you up to, Grimes? I thought...
Yes, you thought I was one of the boys here in Vegas, I know. You should have, too. I spent more than a year building up that role for myself and playing it. But the time's come to tell the truth and clean up this mess. You all right, Pat?
Yes, thanks. I'm all right.
I don't get it.
I'm not Phil Grimes, Richards. I'm Major Philip Lewis of Counterintelligence, assigned to track down the men pursuing the yellow chip. Been working on it for 2 years, most of it here in Las Vegas. You're under arrest.
Well, how did Abbott know
Richards,
it?
your impersonation of an intelligence agent was very unconvincing. I knew at the start you were a phony, but I deliberately played ball with you. Intelligence would never call me on a job like this, certainly not the way you did.
How did you know, Grimes?
On my side, because he said he tied me up. It was a very bad job of tying anyone up. Tipped me off immediately. So I stalled to see how much talking you'd do.
Let's go, Richards. I'm taking you in my custody to Washington on the first plane we can get.
Las Vegas, huh, dear? A gorgeous blonde, dear?
Jean, you asked me what happened, didn't you? Phil Grimes gave me permission to tell you all about it now. I'm telling you the facts.
Oh, where was the microfilm? It wasn't in the yellow chip.
No, it never was. Western Intelligence got hold of it years ago, right after the war. Then they circulated the empty chip purposely to see who it would attract.
Very clever. And the fish were biting, but good.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, didn't Grimes recognize you when you first came into the Paradise Club?
Yes, of course. He's seen a dossier on me many times. But he couldn't do anything about it. He was supposed to be one of the rats after that ship. He didn't even dare start things going. He had Rita do it. Poor kid. He couldn't get to her fast enough to keep her from being shot. But I hear she'll pull through. Grimes even turned out the lights when that scrap started. I didn't. I never knew who did till I said goodbye to Grimes at the airport in Vegas.
I'll never get to meet this counterintelligence agent Grimes.
Oh, it's out of the question.
I'll never see anybody connected with the case.
Now, Jean, what are you driving at? You mean you don't believe a word of this?
Pat Abbott, did you ever hear of a better gimmick for a husband with a roving eye than to go romping off to Las Vegas, have himself a ball, and then come back with a story like that?
Darling, it's true. You think I got into a $7,000 card game with my little special checking account and my little pen?
Why can't I meet Grimes? Where's the blonde? Who or what have you got to substantiate this?
Well,
Sorry,
darling. It's military information.
Yes. See what I mean? That's the end of the fairy tale for tonight, kiddies.
The National Broadcasting Company has presented The Adventures of the Abbotts, starring Claudia Morgan and Les Damon as those popular personalities of detective fiction, Pat and Jean Abbott, created by Francis Crane. The cast included Everett Sloan, Jan Miner, and William Johnstone. The Adventures of the Abbotts was written by Howard Merrill, produced by Ted Lloyd and Bernard L. Schubert, directed and recorded by Harry Frazee. Next week, same time, same station, another exciting adventure in crime with Pat and Jean in The Adventures of the Abbotts. This is Wayne Howell speaking.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.